Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 4th day of November, 2019. Well, it's a Monday. I hope everybody survived the weekend. The weather can't make up its mind around here. Sometimes it's warm and sometimes it's really cold, so I don't know. I think the next few days, though, I think we're going to have some pretty decent weather. I love, when fall is like this and it's not, hurtling into winter. So I just wish that it was a little bit less choppy in the middle of it, because that way maybe some of my I still have stuff growing in the garden. I still have broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage growing, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. We kind of got them in a little bit later than we wanted to, but I don't know. We'll see. They're a cold plant, so theoretically they should do fine out there as long as we keep watering them. So anyhow, let's see. On the blog over at imsteppingaside.com, the monthly tarot reading is up. The geomancy for the month is up. A post on sovereignty. I wrote something about the fact that I think that it's real easy in the election season to get caught up in your own candidate and not allow for the, someone else to think of someone else is better. It's tough. And people get very upset. And so on Twitter, what they're doing is you'll get people that'll say, well, if you're not going to follow my candidate, if you're going to say anything negative, if you're going to say you don't like them, then I'm blocking you. Do it, please. At the end of the day, our vote is our own, and it's none of anyone's business. So I'm going to think about the people I like and people I don't like, and if I want to say something about it all, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on my blog. I'm going to do it here. I'm going to do it on social media. I'm going to say it wherever the heck I want to, because you know what? I have sovereignty. Yeah. So do the rest of you. It's going to be who it's going to be. I don't know. It's either going to reflect what you wanted, or you're going to have to hold your nose and vote for the person, but it can't be the guy in the office that's there now. That's for doggone sure. So I don't care at this point. What is it? Nicole Wallace on MSNBC says, oh, I'd vote for somebody's cat. I'd vote for somebody's car. I don't care. It doesn't matter. So anyway, the sun's in the 11th house in Scorpio. So we're talking again about passionate, intense experiences. But avoid drama and deception in relationships. Sometimes, Scorpios are great, but sometimes they can, be a little manipulative sometimes when they want something. And they don't necessarily realize, I don't think that's what they're doing. I think a lot of the times they have, your best interests at heart, right, when they're manipulating in your life. So anyhow, just understand that they really mean well. Sometimes they just get carried away. All that passion and intensity and all that. There's a semi-square with Jupiter. It's a weak one, I think. Or is there? Maybe that was from last week. However, the sun is opposing you. Is that right? Maybe I'm just going to avoid. I'm not going to say any of this here. I think that's from last week. Let's take that off. But I'll move on. The moon is in Aquarius in the first house. That's not from last week. So, Aquarians are social creatures, and they like to network. They also like to think outside the box. But today, while you're doing that, you might want to also be aware of your health. Any health concerns that might be arising, don't ignore them. We're coming into winter. This is really a time to start drinking some really, heavy infusions of herbal tea and with a lot of dandelion in it. It's a time for instead of just pouring boiling hot water over your tea herbs, you're going to want to maybe do a decoction of maybe some dandelion root first and use that as your menstruum to pour over your herbs, for your tea. It doesn't have to be just boiling water. It could be simmered herb, simmered root as well. And then you'd have the extra added advantage of flushing the system and keeping the liver working properly and not getting toxic over the winter. So do check in with your health today. There is a weak square between the moon and the sun, asking us to balance head and heart a little bit, bringing emotions into balance with self-expression, but it's not a strong one, so it may not actually arise for you today. But if it does, just kind of keep it in mind. The moon trine Mars now, there's an easy relationship there, fostering leadership skills and trust from others, but you can all blow that out of the water if you get too aggressive with people. So just be aware that leadership is more of a quiet expression instead of one that barks orders. And you should do fine. And your leadership skills should be welcome. Mercury, the planet of communication, is in the 10th house, so work, and also Scorpio, so intensity. So you can pretty well figure out what that's going to be. Intense communication might be favored today, but because Mercury's in retrograde until the 20th, just be careful. That's all. Any decisions, that you might want to make, regarding, say, maybe a job change or something. Maybe you've just had enough. Well, maybe you really haven't, and maybe it's just retrograde interfering. Don't make any decisions until after the 20th on that, unless it just simply cannot be avoided, and then, it sort of is what it is. Mars is still in Libra, so again, we're going to watch our tone, how we communicate today. Again, that's going to impact Mercury in the 10th house as well. But we're also in, we're also still in Scorpio with Mercury. So again, we're still there. But anyway, Venus is in Sagittarius. We've done that. We've done Mercury. So we'll move on to Venus. Venus is in Sagittarius in the 11th house. So again, social life is big. Focus on relationships. Sagittarius is generous and outgoing, and again, a leader as well, but they're adventuresome. So, you could, go do something fun with friends today, maybe. There's an inconjunct, though, between Uranus and Venus, suggesting that someone new might enter your life. Or a new project may start. It may just come into focus. You might go, oh, wow, look at that. And so there may be some unpredictability. And if that happens, just try not to be all Marsy and try to control the situation, and just, kind of go with the flow there. Mars is still squaring Saturn, suggesting, again, self-discipline and avoid controlling others. There's also still the square with Pluto, which is not a good one. It's a strong one. And so feelings of anger could arise. So anyhow, let me see if there's anything else. Intercepted signs currently, Virgo in the 8th house and Pisces in the 2nd. This involves anytime you have intercepted, not intersected, but intercepted signs. You pay attention to the house they're in, and you think suppressed action. And so we're talking Virgo in the 8th and Pisces in the 2nd, so imagination, it may be affected, with some lost focus happening maybe. And Virgo can sometimes be critical, but when signs are in it, but when it's being intercepted, then it may be that we have trouble taking criticism today. So anyhow, I think that's probably all I want to say. Yeah, that's all I want to say about this stuff here. So let's get going then, and we'll take our first 3 cards. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're back, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you all. Click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. And do check out my blog over at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. It's just a witch blog. It talks about all kinds of things, though: herbs, cannabis, Reiki, being an empath, of course, witchcraft and astrology, and just all kinds of things that I'm interested in. So you may find something interesting over there. And check out the posts, the correspondences. I did do those last night for today. So they're up on the blog too, and that's also astrological information for today. And keep in mind, though, when you're looking at stuff like that, the astrological information, whether it's the weekly Rune and Moon also went up on Sunday for this week. Whenever you're looking at that, especially the weekly Rune and Moon, you're looking at just general transits for the day with respect to the moon and the human design information on that particular post. Now that is I do like a transit watch, and it takes the entire 24-hour period. So it's not moving around, it's just staying in one spot. So just know that at any given time when I do these, this is a representation of the heavens at the time listed on the astrological chart, if there is one. I don't include a human design chart because I have to include 7 of them. I'm not going to do that right on that one. And I don't include an astrological chart either on that particular one. But on the correspondences and astrological information, it is a snapshot, and I do it at noon. That's when I set the chart, is for noon each day when I do those. And so just be aware that there could be things happening before that time, that it's not picking up on. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. We'll take our first 3 cards and see what they have to say, and then we'll decide if we need a fourth. 11, 12, 13. I take the 13th card for randomness sake only. You don't have to do that in normal readings. I just lay things down. Well, here we have the Devil card. It's the 15th card of the Major Arcana. So we're talking a 6 energy, so higher self-informing there. I know it seems odd, doesn't it, to refer to the devil that way, but the devil is not what you think. Let's do a second card. Well, we have the Sun. So we have the 19th card from the Major Arcana, so you're looking at a 1 energy there of new beginnings. Boy, if we get a third major card, this is going to be Soul Archetype Monday, isn't it? Higher self tapping you on the shoulder saying, okay, why don't you just take the day off and let me I'll just take the reins today. That's what we've got today. So we'll see about this third card, though. My luck, it'll be a court card. Ha! Yeah. Page of Cups. So tell you what, let's play around with the order here, and let's move the page in the middle, and we'll do a little yod today. I don't know if there is one. I haven't looked, but let's see. Oh, let me get my fan down just in case I get warm here with all these candles. You just never know. So anyway, let's do a little bit of yod, a little yod work here, and we'll find the focal point, and we'll find what shores it up. I think that we're going to talk about a message today. Page of Cups is about our emotions. We see the water behind him. He's holding a chalice with a fish sticking his head out, looking at him. He holds it out in offering. Now, I'll do it this way. He's offering it toward the past, but it can also mean the present. I don't necessarily look at when in directionality in tarot, when the individual on the card is looking in the direction of the past, I also sort of include not just legacy or what's been going on, but how it's affecting our life in that moment. Looking straight on, you don't always see that in at least not in the Rider-Waite deck. You don't always see people looking directly at you. A lot of the times their eyes are averted just ever so slightly, so they're not really looking at you in the eye. Now, the Morgan Greer deck, on the other hand, that one they look you in the eye. So I don't know. It's just, I guess, depends on the concept of the people, doing this, I guess, as to how they want to draw this out. Pamela Coleman Smith is the one who did the drawing on this, and so I don't know. It's just how she and the author see it. But maybe we're going to look at a new message today. You're talking about, if you're talking about just the card itself, you're talking about someone who's youthful. Now, the Knight in the court cards, that's going to be a little bit older. That's going to be somebody that's already gone through school or college or whatever, done their apprenticeship, done whatever, and now they're out on their quest, right? Making their way in the world either for themselves or on behalf of someone else, typically the king. But you get the page and you get someone who's a seeker, a student, a message bearer, bringing news. Perhaps it is suggesting a pregnancy, or it could be, depending on the other cards, usually that it's with, it could be a pregnancy, it could be the birth of a child, the birth of something new, a new direction maybe, but we're talking emotions here as well. So confidence, imagination, intuition. So let's hold on to the intuition part of it. Here we have a 6 energy, which denotes higher self. We're looking at the devil as he's perched upon, well, whatever he's perched upon there. But you see that it's some kind of a pole. Similar to, it reminds me of say, out in the old Wild West, where you would see the movies where the horse would ride up and they would just wrap the reins of the horse onto the pole that's out front of the bar, basically out front of the saloon. This is what this reminds me of. It's like he's basically keeping he's keeping control here of the horizontal plane of existence. You see the as above, so below nature of things. He's pointing to this, just to spirit. You see his goat head and his horns, signifying Aries, the ram. And so power and strength and control. More negative aspects where ego is really in control. This is a card of ego. You see the pentagram up above. It does not denote Satan worship, all right? It never has. All the pentagram is about safety. It's also about the four elements in spirit, okay? And what we're saying when we see the pentagram with the point upwards, we're talking about a focus and an awareness of spirit. When we see it pointed downward, though, that's a focus on ego. So if you want to call that the devil within, I suppose you could, although I don't know why you'd really get into that level of judgment either. You know, we're here to explore. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to focus on the ego. We need to simply learn from that. And so what we see here with the devil card, we see him trying to balance and control the masculine and feminine projective side within. We see on the female, we see the pomegranate for the tail. We see the oak leaf for his tail on the masculine sides. We see strength. We see fertility and abundance on the feminine side, the receptive side. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep a balance between the receptive and the projective sides of self. And basically what we're trying to do then is to keep our ego under control. It's about matter over spirit. It's about exerting force over someone else, perhaps. But basically, when we see it, though, I think that what we're really trying to do is to have that argument within and to try to find that balance and to try to balance, you know, whether or not we're going to allow versus when we're going to control. The devil acknowledges spirit, but his torch, his lighted torch, is angled down toward form. So it's misplaced will, perhaps, in a way that's not balanced. But now the sun comes in, and we see a child riding on the back of a white horse, symbolizing purity and renewal and rebirth. We see the sunflowers again on the wall growing. We see the red flag there. It's actually a flag. It's kind of reddish orange, symbolizing vitality, happiness, fulfillment, the self. It's a card of spirit for sure. The light returning, awakening, new beginnings. So I think that what this is really saying for us today is a change in our emotional state from one that is ego-based to one that is more self-actualizing and understands the need of spirit to inform the process. Here we have the balance, we have ego informing with the devil, and with the sun we have, you know, source energy, higher self, spirit, all that is, which we are just expressions of. Let's look at the rune. Well, we have Manaz here. I'm going to do a little drawing for you here on this one so you can see what's really contained within this. Manaz is a complicated rune. It means humanity. It means it's an earth element rune. It means integration with other people. Let's see, what else? Mind, body, spirit connection, individual within society. And that's really, here you have, if you wanted to put this here in the center, you could look at this in a really, it's an interesting rune. It's an interesting rune in its placement, because if it's the individual in society, then you're talking about service to self versus service to others. You're talking about that choice that gets made prior to incarnating, and so then it manifests in Manaz. Okay? So in a way, you're balancing ego with spirit here, aren't you? If you're talking service to self and service to others, service to self tends to be more ego focused. Service to others is a little more humanitarian focused. You could think the current guy in the Oval Office as service to self and former President Jimmy Carter as service to others. So you can see the distinction there. But here's Manaz. And I don't know if this is going to actually, am I out of ink? No. All right, so badly drawn, that's Manaz. I'm going to do it better because that looks icky. There, that's better. Not great. I'm not even good at stick figures, so I don't know. All right, we have Isa, 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, a Norn rune of the static realm of the present moment on both sides. We have Gebo, the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, in the center. When we terminate each end with Isa, we have Dagaz, or a new day. The interesting part about Dagaz, and I'm going to see if I can show this to you here. Wait, I need to be over here. Okay. So you have over here, you have energy coming to its saturation point, becoming its opposite. Do you see that? I love that description. That's not mine. It's someone else's. I don't know whose it is. At some point, I'll come upon it again, and then I'll write it down, and I'll let you know. But it's enlightenment. It's awakening, and it aligns with the sun, that portion of it. We also have Kenaz in all directions, which is the torch or the light of spirit. And when it's in all directions, it's going in all directions, right? And when you think about this in terms of self and society, you're interacting in a lot of different ways, right? And depending upon your focus, service to self or service to others, you know, oh, Trump loses appeal to block accounting firm from turning over his tax returns to New York. Yeah, you can't move away. You can't go to Florida and have that not happen, honey. Not going to happen. Let me close that out. I get notifications. I should turn them off, I guess. But anyway, what we're talking about here is we're trying to figure out a new direction forward in terms of balancing ego with spirit. We've had, and it has to do with how we relate to other people, okay? Let me find my geomancy runes here and see what this has to say. Let's go ahead and do this one really quick and see what the geomancy rune has to say. I need new batteries in this. I love this though. My husband got me this so that I could see things. Some of my cards, you know, are just small enough that you can't really see. Oh, Via, new direction, new path. You can't really see without having a nice big magnifying glass. And see, this one's got LED lights on the other side of it. And this thing's awesome. Especially, you know, when you're looking at some of the, well, if you're looking at any of the Thoth deck, you've got to have a magnifying glass with lights. Otherwise, you cannot see what Lady Frida Harris did. I mean, the cards are remarkable. They're just gorgeous. And so to be able to see what she's done, particularly when the goddess in some of the pictures, the women in the pictures are somewhat veiled, you have to have something to be able to see behind the veiling that she does. It's just incredible. This is Vaya. And it means way or path or new direction. It's all an active principle. It's all single dots. There's no dual dots and no passivity within this. And there's Vaya and the new direction. And I think that that's what we're talking about here with the Page of Cups. We're talking about a new direction in terms of emotions and how we interact with other people. It's not just communication. It's about what's at the heart of it all. Are we going to communicate in a way that's based on conflict? Or are we going to do it in a way that brings people together? Are we going to look at people as the other or the other side of self? And I think that's what we've got here. And so definitely we're talking about a new direction today, and it has to do with how we see ourselves in the world, how we interact with one another. You know, will it be from an ego focus or will it be from one that's a more awakened focus? So we have a 6 and 1 is 7. So again, we're talking balance. You know, the 7 energy is about balance. We have a 4 energy today, and that's structure. But we also have an 11 month, which is, you know, illumination. That's a master number for illumination. And so we're talking about, I mean, all of last year, it was an 11 year where all sorts of things came out. And then this year is a 3 year, and we're trying to bring it all together into some kind of alignment, you know, while more is still coming out. So it's a catalytic presence as well. So we're learning more still, whether it's what's going on in the government or whether it's going on in our personal lives. But the fact is, the division in this country, you know, we're talking, I don't know why that came up, but we're talking, you know, healing that division through the energy of Menas here. Oh, there's one more in here. Rune. Let me go back to it. I'll unfold the paper here. We also have Rune forward and reversed. So love and fellowship and unity and harmony. So you see, Menas is an extraordinarily complicated binder, isn't it? Even though it's considered, you know, what is it? Is it the 20th? Yeah, the 20th rune from the Elder Futhark. So again, a 2 energy, so balance, right? You can see it. It's contained within the entire thing. Expressions of balance everywhere. As above, so below, on my left, on my right, all around me, within me, without, you know, it's the whole thing. Well, that's not bad for a Monday, not a bad way to start the week, really. But basically, we're talking about a 7 balance, aren't we? Bringing everything, if you envision the scales, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at alignment, your alignment be within on the horizontal plane and the vertical plane. So that's cool. Anyway, I guess that's it. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming by. Check out the blog and you know, again, the monthly tarot, the monthly geomancy, the weekly Rune and Moon, the astrological information and correspondences, all of that's just there to help you guys sort of navigate what's going on and just to give you guys a little bit extra information about the influences and energies that are at work over the coming month and over the coming weeks. And so check those out and see if any of that might resonate for you. I'm not really so much about predictions as I am about just simply saying, here are the energies that you have to work with, and just make that all, you know, it's up to you to make that work in your favor or someone else's favor or something, you know. Again, expressing Menas is not simply about, you know, the devil within. It's about the choice, right, that we make to either serve self or serve others. And the cool thing about when you serve others, you're also serving yourself in the process. So because the reciprocity you experience, and that's what you see here in Menas, reciprocity. It's a given. So in any event, thank you again so much for coming by. We'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.